What's up, you beautiful people? Today we're talking about these two awesome cameras. This is the A6300 and this is the A6500. And what I want to discuss is, should you upgrade or should you buy the A6500 over the A6300? Now this camera has been an awesome camera for me and I upgraded to the A6500, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the camera for you. So for me, I'm a travel vlogger. We're always on the go, which is why I like this camera in particular, because it's small, the lenses are smaller, and the whole package is lightweight. So I've been using this camera for a few weeks now, and I used this one for a few months. It was a big chunk of time. If you check out some of our vlogs, I took this up a mountain as I was climbing it. I just threw it in my bag. It's super durable. Like, there's a couple scratches on the screen, but threw it in a mountaineering bag, which it held up pretty well. So the durability of these cameras is great. Now for video on the go, the A6500 definitely has some better features. So the first one, of course, is the image stabilizer. That is like the number one thing I wanted out of this camera, was the image stabilizer, because I'm hand holding the shot a lot. And it does work pretty well. Also with that image stabilizer, you know, if you get any sort of dust or material on your sensor, there's a button in the camera and it shakes the sensor, which is great because it helps clean the sensor, which I've had multiple instances where I've had something on the sensor in the field and I really don't want to go in there and touch the sensor on this camera. So obviously that is a big thing of the A6500 versus the 63. So the menu system is completely redone. Well, not completely redone, but they've actually added colors and some extra information on the menus so you could get through the very convoluted menu and actually find certain menus within the menus that will have the information you need. It's still not perfect. Like, I wish there was a way to customize so that you're able to just put the things that you need right up front, click in there, go, which you can do that with the FN button. But there's still things within the menu system that I wish was pushed to one side. Okay, another difference that you'll notice on this camera is that there's an extra customizable button on the top. Also in the body design, it fits better in your hand, so it feels more comfortable carrying this. These are lightweight cameras, so you don't have the big grips that you're used to with like a bulky DSLR or even some of the bigger mirrorless cameras. But having this extra grip definitely helps, because half the time I'm walking around like this. I just hold the camera and go. I don't put a strap on or anything because I'm changing the camera, putting it in so many different places. Sometimes I put my stick on it, sometimes microphone, or sometimes I just walk around with this. Like, we were just up snowboarding and I would pull it out of my bag and I was able to use it wherever we go, shove it back in my bag and keep going. Another big thing about the A6500 over the 6300 is that the processor is faster, so you could shoot more photos if you're shooting like action shots. Also displayed on the screen when you shoot really fast, it shows you how many photos it's still writing to the card. Versus the 6300, there's definitely times where I shot a burst and you're sitting there waiting and waiting and you don't know. This will give you an icon. That's a big difference. So another big thing about the A6500 is that it has a touch screen. Personally, I haven't found this very useful yet and I've shut it off most of the time. One other big thing that I personally really like with this camera is the way it handles slow motion and time lapses. Now you have this menu setting called S and Q. And so what that means is slow and quick motion. Basically, with my FS5, I have this menu, but I haven't seen it on a smaller mirrorless camera until now. And so basically what that does is, if you're shooting at 120 frames per second, before now, you had to drop that into a timeline and stretch it or change the timing of it to make it really truly slow motion. Now what happens is that file automatically creates the slow motion files. So that's a big thing, especially speed-wise for travel vloggers like myself, is that it takes one step of your editing out of the equation. And then on the other side of it, you could shoot these time lapses that are pre-made. So you're not having to deal with the app that's in the app settings, which takes forever to load. Basically, you can create a simple time lapse. It is just a video file. You're not gonna be shooting your raw images, which obviously that is much better to do. But there's a lot of times where a quick time lapse is all you need, especially when you're traveling and on the go. And sometimes that's all you really want. So the price difference between these two cameras is $400 right now. That's a big jump for a new model of the same camera. So which one should you buy? Obviously, there's the added bonus of these features, and those features are definitely for the filmmaker. You know, the stabilizer is very good for shooting handheld, anything, you know, even putting it on a stabilizer, it helps out making even more silky, smooth shots. For your average photographer, that's not gonna make that much of a difference unless you're shooting low light. And beyond the stabilizer, you know, these other features, they're good, but they're not necessarily $400 good. So what I think is make the jump to the A6500 if you're gonna be running gunning a lot, if you're gonna be using this camera more for a video camera versus a stills camera, and you really need that image stabilizer, it does help a lot. Now get the A6300 if you're shooting more photos, or if you know that the way and the style that you shoot is more on tripods, on sliders, on stabilizers, etc., etc. You know, this camera's awesome, and this has been the tool that's been in my backpack everywhere I go. I love this camera, so use that $400 that you would have spent on the A6500 and put that towards a nice lens. So guys, I hope this was helpful, giving you a quick overview of what the difference is between the A6500 and the A6300. Again, they're both awesome cameras, and it all depends on what you're shooting, what your style is, and really how you're gonna use this camera, because the image is very close between the two. So I wouldn't worry so much about the image quality and what you're getting out of this camera. I would worry more about the features around the camera and which one fits your style better. Guys, make sure you subscribe if you wanna see more reviews, more comparisons like this in the future. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna go play with some cameras.